How much do you know? How long have you been listening? Welcome if you're new here. We seem to be at a new level of absolute, utter corruption. And I would know specifically all about this corruption because the corrupt well, there's nothing left. So today, as you might know, the corrupt are at it again after being spoken to repeatedly and consistently. So there's a government in this world that became the first to hold public officials criminally accountable if they fail to prevent hate crimes. It's an anti-lynching law laid down the duty and responsibility of actors posing as the government to make arrangements for the protection of victims and witnesses against any kind of intimidation, coercion, inducement, or violence. So lynching, that's an interesting word because a lie, a liar, lying is lynching. That's exactly what a lie is. A lie is a form of lynching. And when innocent people are lied about, well, I would understand specifically being a highly sensitive empath, what that does to your physical body. The reason why we wouldn't be able to move is because that lynching is literally choking the life out of us, and that's exactly the intent of the liar. Because what's happening is we've got intentional, willful infliction of emotional distress. We've got these evildoers' conduct is absolutely out of control, flagrant, it's outrageous, it's absolutely calculated to cause irreparable harm to this woman and to suffer visible and provable, well, it's like incapacitation. That's what it's like. The requirement that the conduct be calculated to produce harm is met where the actor, that's right, it's an actor, desires to produce the consequences that follow from the act, or if the consequences are known to be substantially certain to follow. The visible and provable illness, well, it wouldn't be illness, it's harm, right? Does not require expert medical evidence. It is satisfied when depression results from the conduct. So this afternoon calling and hearing that they had done the unspeakable, that they had done the unthinkable. This is intentional infliction of emotional distress. It's willful, like they know what they're doing. So I just finished contacting. Now here's the funny thing about these public services, these public servants. If you call them up and if you don't get an answer, they want an email. But they don't answer emails. They won't respond to any emails. They just completely stonewall you, which is the intentional infliction of emotional distress. So who is involved in this latest lynching? Who are the liars involved in this latest? Well, we got a hate crime happening again. It's Laura Wheeler, Gordon Baines, Paula Donachi, Nikki Sharma. Listen, Nikki, you know all about what's going on. Don't pretend like you don't. How many emails, Nikki, have you received? If we call you, are you going to make yourself available for a constructive conversation? Because malfeasance in public office, that's what's going on. It's misfeasance, it's malfeasance, it's fraud, it's breach of trust by public officer. I know there's a couple of individuals tagged here. One of them is acting as duty counsel this week. There was Jordan Watt last Thursday, who was duty counsel. Now, the conversations I had with Jordan Watt were interesting because of the level of education I have regarding, well, just, the legal system and how it operates. It operates on presumption and presumption. They just presume and assume all kinds of things, and if you don't rebut those assumptions and presumptions, they just roll with the lynching. Legal is lynching. That's what legal is. And so, of course, I'm not a woman who's going to argue. So when I presented the truth during our conversations, I'm then met with, well, no, that's not the way it is. And yet I'm sitting there, freezing cold, being tortured. I was kidnapped. I was brutalized. There was assault and battery. I honestly am actually bruised from head to toe. My back is just absolutely... Yeah, it's the hatred is real. The persecution is real. So then I'm being forced by this Jordan Watt into services that I know I can't be a part of. Like if I don't do what they're demanding that I do, they're going to throw me into a cage and pretty much leave me there. And then they're going to railroad me without my presence or my input. So this is where we're at now in Canada. This is the level of corruption that was going on. And if you've listened to any of the calls that I've had with the public servants, it's, well, you need to make another call to someone else because we can't. Or they'll just waste your time. And then send you a letter that, oh, no, that's not what happened. We're going to gaslight you and lie to you about what happened, and we're not going to help you, even though that's what we get paid to do. So many of us are well aware that the Legal Society of British Columbia is corrupt. They protect those who are guilty of vagrancy. You've got the Victoria Crown. So that's who these males and females are representing here in the city of Victoria. The Victoria Crown. You've got Gary Begg, which is the Public Safety and Solicitor General. You've got the David Eby. You've got the police chief here in Saanich, who is behind all of this. You've got Emma Thomas. Now, when I filed the notice of civil claim in January of 2006, that was the female who took the box. There was a box that contained the claim. That's the amount of information. And of course, none of them care. None of them care at all. So here we go here. So Laura Wheeler was involved on August the 30th. So it's acting as the Crown. And Gordon Baines was the male on Thursday who for 20 minutes poisoned me with the most outrageous lies. And those lies are coming from the files that have been written up by employees of the District of Saanich. Now today it was Paula Donachie who then went and obtained a warrant. Jordan Watt was the duty counsel last Thursday. Dean Duthie's the chief. Here in the District of Saanich, Nikki Sharma is acting as the BC Attorney General. David Evie is acting as the Premier. Gary Begg, we know who that is. That's acting as the Public Safety. Yeah, right. Solicitor General, really. So no woman will be persecuted to the point of living in fear for her life every day. Read testimony of how hatred, malicious witnessing, criminal harassment, uttering threats, torture, fraudulent charges affects the right to safety, security, and the inalienable right to pursue happiness. Well, no justice, no peace, and that's no joke. So we've looked into that document already. We just went over it a few days ago. So all public servants, all businesses, all of them, whether they're public or they're private, they have to provide culturally informed, responsive, safe services. Like there's no option there. There's not a sometimes you're going to and sometimes you're not. It doesn't matter who you're serving. It doesn't matter if you hate them or not. You still have to provide. And in order for you to be culturally informed, you would have to understand the culture of the people that you're serving. So our peculiar people cannot accept invitations. Well, because that's what was extended last Thursday. If I don't commit this crime, if I don't aid and abet committing this crime, then basically I'm going to be unalived, is what was heard. Well, that's what was spoken last Thursday by 3. There was 3 of them. It was a lynching. I was lynched last Thursday. And I know I can't be a part of what they're doing. And they should know by now that I can't be a part of what they're doing. So that's why just uttering threats, intimidation, coercion. I'm terrified for my life every day, all day. So we can't accept invitations to encourage, instigate, promote, assist, help, encourage, be present, support, motivate, or tacitly approve principal offenders in committing racially motivated hate crimes against our identifiable group, pursuant to Section 21 of the Criminal Code. We are satisfied each person involved since August the 29th of 2024 did commit common intention, contrary to Section 21. 2. There's a common intention to commit these crimes against me because I've had to. I am the trustee of a trust that has had all the property held in that trust. I mean all of it. Every single item that I ever loved and I ever cherished. That was mine and that was Jack's. Has been stolen. It has been sold. It has been auctioned. And the thieves have now gotten rich off of everything Jack and I worked so hard to have. And if you've been listening for any length of time, you know that I have not been offered any help whatsoever, despite the fact that I reach out and I ask for help. Well, that's what would happen if I would have gone there today. We are satisfied beyond all reasonable doubt that we are not going to be listened to, we are not going to be respected, we are not going to be provided culturally sensitive services. There is a mark on my name. I am marked. So, Inspector Damien, I'm in fear for my life, identifying as in need of urgent protection as a result of torture, violence, racism, and discrimination by criminally minded employees acting as District of Saanich. Well, and, of course, impersonating the Crown. And members who identify as the court. And all of these private businesses who are in, offering legal services. So, and then there's the link to the call we had earlier in the day with the Saanich Police Board trying to get somebody to listen because no one will help. So there was another female who got involved in this last November after the second SWAT attack occurred. Do you guys understand that hearsay is inadmissible? Because it is. This Laura Wheeler in this court at BAINES, you don't have first-hand knowledge of anything that you said. And I was sitting right there and I listened to it. Why would you lie? Did you check your sources? Did you do any due diligence at all? Of course not. I understand why you public servants have a history of being malicious witnesses against our people. Neither of you or any of your friends can take the stand as witnesses or provide any witness statements to that court. You're not victims of harm. There are no victims because there are no crimes. Corpus delicti. Who's been caused loss, harm, or injury? No one except for me and my family. This is exactly what happened when my son was kidnapped, and he never came home. And I didn't record any of it then, but I'm recording this now because the hatred gets worse. Because the older we become, the sharper we become, which means we're more of a threat because it's the truth that's threatening to them. You lied. All three of you did. In willful intentional offenses, contrary to section 131, 137, 269.1 of the Criminal Code. So what those sections are, if you don't know the Criminal Code, and I mean who the fuck really does, they've committed perjury. They've accepted fabricated evidence from District of Saanich employees. And then 269.1 is torture. They're all involved in the torture. This matter is void due to unfairness and inaccuracy, the foundation of the principles of legal proceedings, tainted from the beginning by fruits of poisonous trees. Liars. Can you see the correlation between lynching and trees? Did you put that together? Because we all know what a lynching is. We've all seen the photos of innocent people losing their lives because of they're different. They're not causing anyone harm. They're just trying to live their lives. And this is the result of that. Well, that's what that's about. Well, on August the 29th, when I was surrounded by armed and dangerous high-risk offenders, there was no warrants. Like, if you're going to arrest a man or a woman, you either have to have seen them in the commission of committing the crime, or you need to have investigated and gone down and gotten a warrant. And there was no warrant. And if you're going to seize, you stole the last thing. Jack and I had 2 house cars. They've both been stolen. You needed to have a warrant to steal her too, and you just didn't because you don't care about due process. You don't care about the fucking rules. All you care about is how much harm you can cause. And then on August the 30th, there's 2 females Both are employed by the province of British Columbia. One is an administrative clerk, falsely identifying as a judge, and the other one, well, is impersonating the crown and the public. They tried to put me, an innocent woman, on probation. Well, probation is punishment for guilt. But apparently I'm innocent until proven guilty, so then why would you do that? After I told you, I have a hard time going out. I fucking explained it to you. You didn't even fucking care. You're fucking deaf. And obviously blind, because I write down what you need to fucking hear so you can read it. You got a copy of what's written. That's why you get the emails. So, Mr. Blackmanis, that's duty counsel this week. I called your business today, requesting a scanned copy of the obtained in error warrant. They're inciting war against an innocent woman by your friend Paula Donachie to torture, criminally harass, threaten, willfully incite, and publicly promote hatred against a woman who rightfully identifies as in need of protection. Oh, it's Peter and Paula. Peter and Paula, contrary to Section 21, and parentheses 2 of the Criminal Code, June the 18th, you did encourage and promote public servants with paperwork of an unlawful warrant for arrest, offenses of uttering threats, criminal harassment, assault, kidnap, unlawfully confined, torture, malicious prosecution of an innocent woman in need of protection. And those are all criminal code offenses. Well, malicious prosecution, that's inciting hatred. I believe that's Section 319 of the Criminal Code. Acknowledge righteous people are sovereign. Yes, that's right. Righteous people are sovereign. Righteous people aren't governed by the lawless. And that's who government actors are. They're lawless. Governed and or policed only by our consent. They need your consent. They have to have it. That's the rule of law in Canada. The law of consent. Acknowledge that truth is authority, because it is. That's what the authority is. The truth is the authority. And here's what absolutely just fucking, I'm so sick and tired of it, is that these fucking mindless monkeys, these malicious monsters, for some reason, believe that they need to hear what I'm telling them from someone else. Well, no one else would have first-hand knowledge of what the fuck is going on here, so you're not going to be hearing this from anyone else. You don't need for one of these administrative clerks to tell you what I'm already telling you, and I don't need any of these administrative clerks to agree with me or not, because they don't have any first-hand knowledge of what's going on here. If I tell you something, that's the gospel. That's expert witness testimony. And if I explain to you repeatedly that in my culture, we will not aid and abet crimes against ourselves, and your legal rules say the same thing, that if you aid and abet anyone in committing a crime, then they're party to the offense. That's why I don't go. I'm not obligated to go. Because that's culturally insensitive to force me to go and be tortured by persons who more than likely are deaf and aren't going to be able to hear anything. Well, we've got lots of experience with this. So how does wasting criminal justice system resources on an obvious malicious prosecution to torture an innocent woman serve the public and the community? Because isn't that what you're paid handsomely to do? Apparently, you actors impersonating the crown, apparently you're making, what, $250,000 a year? Because this isn't a criminal justice system. It's all about commerce. They're all making money. All of them are receiving a commission. All three of them are receiving a commission for all of this. And I'm not being paid a dime to have my time wasted and to be tortured. Intentional infliction of emotional harm. I'm not being paid at all. Is a workwoman not worthy of her hire? And they want you to have someone else speak for you because you're an infant, you're a ward of the court, you're an imbecile and you can't handle your own affairs? That's their assumption and presumption. So you're not even present in there, according to the three of them. So is a man or woman being lynched able to speak? Well, we all know the answer to that. No, because where does it hit? Right in the throat, right? You get it? Do you understand? Of course you do. That's why you're listening. Thank you, by the way, if you're listening. If you're righteous, you have nothing to worry about. So each person involved in this hate crime to cause irreparable harm believe themselves to be above the law? Well, do they? Because we are satisfied that that's what these persons believe. We are satisfied that all of these persons involved in all of this to cause irreparable harm believe themselves to be above the law. Because why is it that none of the members of the District of Saanich employees acting as the district police, why none of them come forward and say which one of them told all those lies? Because they've got a file on this innocent woman that's filled with nothing but lies. About my conduct, about my character, about what's happened. So does each person involved want to be treated the way you're treating someone that you clearly hate? We understand that you hate us, and we understand why. And so here was what went out the other day, and so, of course, we went over why they had to withdraw the charges, because if they made the choice today to break the law and without lawful reason obtain a warrant, the document had to be scanned and had to be sent out to my address. Yes, I really am a diplomat. Yes, I really am a foreigner. Because I'm the only woman with authority to counsel that document. You don't need someone else to handle your affairs for you. You're more than capable of handling your affairs. Why do you believe that you need someone else? If you're sovereign, you know what to do. If you're sovereign, you understand the law, you understand the common law. You have to protect rights and you have to protect property. Well, sorry, life. You're protecting life, and, well, rights are property. Your rights are your property. You have to protect both. Because it's really that simple. Like, this is not complicated. And then that scanned document needs to be, well, it needs to be returned to the registry. And, of course, the copy has to be sent to the male, Dean Duthie, to get the demons to stand down and to stop all their ugliness and their hate. Because you understand that we the people, those of us who identify as a protected class of people, owe no debt, no duty, no obligation. We owe no allegiance to public servants acting as Canada or the province of British Columbia. Because there isn't a law anywhere that forces us into submission or servitude. And these are secular services. So secular means like void of life. Void of consideration, void of compassion, void of kindness. There can't be a meeting of the minds. There can't be any association between those who are living and those who are not, because it causes the living irreparable harm. We waste our lives. And so this is exactly what the problem is. Like, you can't do what you're doing. So if the false accusers want to come forward and open up their court and move a court, then they can do that. I, as an innocent woman, have the right to face the accuser. So who is accusing this woman of criminal harassment? Well, we know who that is. So let that one then come forward, and we can face this individual who is in possession of stolen property and committing mortgage fraud. Let that one come forward. And these public serpents acting as District of Saanich who are accusing this woman of obstructing their lawlessness. Well, who? Which one of them is saying this? Let them come forward. Let them open up their court and move their court. Someone else can't speak for either of them, because whoever that is speaking for them doesn't have any first-hand knowledge of what's going on. So this is why they can't. They have to withdraw themselves. They have to withdraw the charges, and they have to withdraw themselves, these agents acting as the Crown. And when these agents acting as the Crown get these administrative clerks acting as the court involved, then they're aiding and abetting what's going on. So they all know that they're assisting the two false accusers in fraud and other illegal activities and conducts. So they have to withdraw from representation. There's no choice. They have rules they have to follow. Law Society rules, BC Code rules that they have to follow. So what, they're just not going to follow anything anymore? They just fucking run ramshot? And who's gonna explain all of this except the woman explaining it to you now? Because I'm the woman who understands all of this. Do you honestly fucking believe that one of these somebody who wants to represent this woman, you honestly believe they're gonna like bring any of this up and bring any of this out? Of course not. They're friends with these other two. They're all friends. They're all part of the same society. They don't care if they're committing crimes. They're not going to come up against each other. They would never do that. Their first obligation is to the, we'll call it a company, right? So this is how simple this is. This is exactly how you withdraw charges. Because these are agents of the Crown, and we the people are the principal in every matter, so we are the ones who direct the matter. We are the ones who say what's going to happen. And they have no say in anything that's going on. Who do they think they are? Oh, wait a minute here, that's right. We heard from Nick Murray on last Thursday that each and every one of these males and females believes, well, this is exactly what Nick Murray said to me, I am the law. This violent, malicious, repeat high-risk offender, a criminal, said to this woman, I am the law. This is the level of psychosis that's going on amongst these armed and dangerous outfitted individuals. Source of power to withdraw, well, it comes from the common law to protect life and property. So this is how simple this is. This is the procedure. The withdrawals are accomplished by simply refusing to put the information before the court. In practice, charges are withdrawn by simply writing a letter to the clerk of the court, directing them not to place the information before the court. So today, this afternoon, the entire day actually, this woman's name should have never been mentioned in that building. This woman's name today or any other day, unless I am the one who brings the matter into that court and I open up my court to hold trespassers to account, my name should never be brought up in that building. This is how simple this is to fix. And yet they can't figure this out. What do you think? Do you see where the problem lies? Do you see that innocent men or women are being lynched by the legal liars? because they've got nothing to do with justice. Nothing. That's not what their business is. Their business is generating revenue. That's what vagrants do. It's called gaming. It's a game. That's why when you have a representative and you're represented, they go and talk to their friends and they decide what's going to happen to you. And you have absolutely no say in what happens to you at all. I have been through this before and I've watched it happen to others. You're an infant. You're an imbecile. You're a ward of the court. You can't handle your own affairs. See, that's called privilege. They believe that they're privileged, that they have rights and powers that their neighbors don't have. Oh, Jesus talked about this when he was here. It's all throughout Scripture about the arrogant, about how poisonous they are, about how evil they are, about how they believe they have rights that others don't have. And you look at section 15, which makes the claim that all are equal before and under the law, and all have equal protection without discrimination. And yet my whole life has been destroyed by discrimination and by hate and by racism, because the privileged pathogens believe that they can just do whatever they want to whoever they want, whenever they want. And they've got mindless monsters, armed and dangerous mindless monsters, and at their beck and call. Yeah, that's what's going on. What do you think? What do you think about all this? Would you like to be treated like this? Do you think it's fair that victims of crime who report crime are then tortured and tormented, made to be in fear for their lives? What do you think that feels like to know that those monsters acting as a wisher you luck went through every box and threw out everything that I ever loved and I ever kept, and everything in that locker is heirloom property. It can't be replaced. It can't be fixed. They can't undo what they've done. And now they're telling me that they're not going to talk about it. No, you see, because criminals in Canada have the right to remain silent. Just like these criminals who are in possession of Jack and I's land in our home. Me doing the right thing has had them now call up their same kind. And now they're all colluding